I'm happy. Sometimes you have to understand, I did the other jobs in my life, but when you wake up in the morning, even early in the morning, like this morning at 5:30, say, and you wake up happy that you have to do a lot of things in the day, say, maybe I'm doing what I really want to do.
Yeah, that's a good feeling. And not everybody gets that. Welcome to The In Factor, conversations with entrepreneurs who started, stumbled, and succeeded. I'm Rebecca White, and today I'm recording in the University of Salerno incubator located in the Campania region of Italy. My guest today is Ennio Adinolfi. Ennio is a post-doctoral student at the university and also the CEO and co-founder of MinervaS, a company that offers innovative solutions in the energy and automotive sectors aimed towards the reduction of CO2 and improved energy management. MinervaS provides a suite of integrated solutions for smart and future mobility, from driving advisors to fleet management tools, all tailored to the vehicle and size of the customer's business. Listen in to hear more about how Ennio and his team are building a company that not only saves money for their customers, but is also helping to save our planet. Good morning, Ennio.
Good morning, Rebecca.
I am so excited to be here on the University of Salerno in the incubator, talking with you today about your company. You're a postdoc student here at the university, but you also are an entrepreneur for several years. And your company is MinervaS.
MinervaS.
Yes. MinervaS. So let's dig in. I'd like to learn a little bit more about you. I always like to start by sort of understanding more about how you got to this point. Have you always wanted to be an entrepreneur? Tell us about your company and sort of how you got here.
Okay. Well, so let's start from say thank you for this, because you brought the spring here. Today is a very nice weather here, and was maybe thanks to you. Anyway, I am a postdoc, as you said. I spent most of my life in this university for my bachelor, master, PhD courses. And at the end of this process, I say, okay, it's time to try to bring all that I learned on the market. So it was a process. I never thought to be an entrepreneur, actually. So this was a process that I, thanks to the input that I received by academia, but from the world, from my friend, from my mentors, say that maybe it was time to try. Okay, so just a few lines about what we do. MinervaS is a university spin-off. We are a startup. We incorporated in July 2020 during the COVID time, so it was a very tough moment. But we had in our portfolio of activities a lot of solutions to make the mobility sector more sustainable.
So when you talk about the mobility sector, what do you mean by that? Some of our listeners may not understand that.
Well, we work in the field of road transportation.
Rural transportation
sector. So that means that we work with fleet companies for both logistic application or passenger transportation. So we help truck or buses to reduce fuel consumption and emission. This is our aim. And we want to do that with a very high level technology that comes from autonomous driving technology, but that we can want to bring to the conventional vehicles, to the vehicles that are already on the road. Mm-hmm. So in order to speed up the process before the coming of the autonomous driving vehicles. Mm-hmm. We started from an idea that the OEM, the truck or buses manufacturers, created a very good vehicles in the last years with very high efficiency, but we can even push towards a bigger, higher efficiency thanks to the help of the information that comes from around the vehicle. So all that is related to the road, to the forecast of what we are going to find on our road, like change in the weather condition, the change on traffic condition. So we are able to collect a lot of information, static information and dynamic information as a forecast in order to improve the way how to drive.
So would you say making current vehicles smart vehicles? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
And so how does that work? I'm say I've got a vehicle that I would like to take advantage of your product. How does that work?
Well, it's very simple because you just drive your vehicle. When you get in, you usually, I guess, use your Google Maps in order just to know which is your optimized route, maybe even to know the estimated time of arrival. On top of that, we add other information. So we don't give the instruction how to drive, if to go to left or right. We tell the driver to go faster or slower. This change in the speed with a very tight time constraint, I mean, with the same estimated time of arrival, leads you to reduce the fuel consumption.
That makes sense. Yes. So is this an app that the driver would use, just similar to something like Google Maps you mentioned, or are you built on top of other apps?
We have different versions. Our product is a B2B product, so it's well customized for fleets, for heavy-duty vehicles.
Yes.
But we are even now opening this solution for cars. Our product works perfectly with big vehicles because with big mass, we can achieve very high results. Sometimes we can even able to reduce fuel consumption up to 30%. It's a very high margin. And in a sector like this with very low margin, we are making some magics. But when we move towards the car, especially the electrical car, we can help the vehicle to increase the autonomy. So we reduce your stress to get home, because if you drive, as I tell you, you for sure achieve that goal.
That's great. I need that in Tampa.
Yeah.
we have bad traffic in Tampa. So I just came, so we're in the Campania region, and I noticed that there was a lot of traffic coming from Salerno this morning. And so this product that you're talking about, is it primarily used by companies regionally, nationally? Do you have competitors here in Italy? Sure. I mean, what does your landscape look like for your company?
Well, our target market are long-hauling application, extra-urban application, because we designed the product for trucks that should drive for hundreds of kilometers per day. So this was our first goal.
That's a sweet spot for you, the starting point. Yes.
But we enlarged a little bit the sector, and then we moved from truck to extra urban buses. So even for regional application, in order to achieve big results in terms of savings, we need to go towards big number of kilometers or miles.
So you need to travel a pretty long distance for this to really kick in the value.
If you have a long range, we can optimize better.
Right.
That's why.
So what is your background that prepared you for this? I mean, you mentioned that you did your bachelor's and master's and doctorate here. So what did you study, and how? Because a lot of our listeners are students and they're thinking about how to prepare themselves for this entrepreneurial path. So what about you?
Yeah, I told you that I did the bachelor, the master, the PhD here, but it was not a linear process, because I started the bachelor a long time ago, I can say now.
You're very young. So.
Yeah, I know, but when you count the time now, it's maybe 15 years ago, okay, something like that. But once I started the master, I had the opportunity to make an internship abroad in Germany at the European Research Center for Energy. Mm-hmm. So I went there and I stayed longer than expected. So I start to deviate my academic activity, And once I was back in Italy, I wanted to try something else out of engineering environment. So I started my very first entrepreneurship activity, like starting up a cultural center in the south of Italy, in Sicily, with vegan cuisine and art entertainment. So say, okay,
Italians like to eat, and I'm enjoying that while I'm here.
I love to eat.
And you're a chef as well. Right?
No, I'm not chef, but I know I can try.
You can make your way around the kitchen.
Yes. Yeah. So I did this for some years, and that gave me the first input and the first thought about to try an entrepreneurial life. Once I was back to university to finish my master's degree, thanks to the research group at university, the energy system lab at University of Salerno, I had the opportunity to make a PhD in hydrogen systems. And I wanted to, that was a very important moment for my career because gave me the opportunity to first to learn about something that now is a very hype technology like hydrogen fuel cells. And the second achievement was the participation in European project as a researcher, but even as a project manager, a communication dissemination manager. So I got the opportunity to know a lot of stakeholders, companies, corporate research centers, even institutional activities, and that gave me a lot of horizontal skills that prepare me for the next step. Right. And the next step was to start up these activities.
Now, for many people, there is a moment or a time where everything comes together and you say, this is an idea that I should pursue. How did that happen for you? Is it something that you came up with, or was it out of a research project, or did somebody come to you and say, you're working on this. Have you thought about, adding these elements? How did that all come together?
This was not my idea. It was the idea of my colleague, the core technology of this product. But as I told you, I used to work in a research group, so we used to make a lot of brainstorming together about my activities, other activities. And my activity, for example, that was on hydrogen, at that moment was a very low TRL, so was not ready for market. But the other research were ready for the market. So I proposed them to try to push a little bit more out of the lab in order to understand if there was an opportunity. So I collect the people working on that project, the core creator, but even other professors or researchers.
Your team.
Yeah, and we created the core team more than 2 years ago. And then we started making the first steps. Mm-hmm. But it was not enough because we were very too much related to the technical part. So we had to understand how to propose a tech idea in a different way for investors, for customers. So we went around at any startup competition in order to step by step improve the way of proposing the idea. Yes. And that was the very beginning.
So that's a lot of what I've done with my career is help scientists understand how to speak the language of business. Yeah. And so kudos to you. And I'm assuming that the university has helped with that whole process. So you mentioned you had, you mentioned that you had help from some of your professors here. You've been in the incubator for more than 2 years, maybe 3. And so how is that helping you build this business? Has it been valuable to be associated with the university, to be here in the incubator? What kinds of things, what kinds of benefits do you get from this?
We have different level of benefits because I guess that any startup at the very beginning needs the support of incubator or accelerator. we had two different incubators that helped us. One conventional, I may say, startup incubator, uh, or one shoe factory, what is the name. Another one that comes from university, because university um, wants that through a tech transfer process make value of what was done in the past. So they push all the researchers to take all the tech and make ready for
the market.
Yeah. So they give a lot of support. For instance, the space where we are right now is a benefit of the university. Mm-hmm. So they give us spaces, they give a network, they give us the opportunity to use the patent that at the very beginning were made during the research period. So they gave a lot. And if we want to make a comparison with a startup that is not a part of the university, we have a different speed, because we already had the research part, the prototyping phases, the patenting phase. So we were a little bit more advanced, and that give us, some advantage on the among our competitors.
Yes. So I think I asked you about this, but there's about 20 companies here in the incubator.
Yeah, more or less 20.
And you're one of the earlier ones in the program, because you've been here, you said, a few years.
Yeah, a few years ago. This building was made more or less 3-4 years ago. So we were one of the first, flatmate of this place.
So one of the challenges for entrepreneurs, and I met with another entrepreneur yesterday who has a cafe, and we talked about how hard it is to get employees and people that you trust. And so I'm really curious. I've worked with startups a lot through the university, and one of the benefits is that you can hire really smart students also to help you. Of course, they come and go quickly.
Yeah.
But talk to me about your team and how many people work for you now, and even where is your company in its growth stage? Do you have customers? How many? What does that look like?
Okay. To the employee part of these activities is very hard, because we have a very high turnover. Because the attractiveness of a startup is not so high if we want to make a comparison with corporates. Mm-hmm. But since we are located in the university, we have the opportunity to have a very big amount of potential employee that can come here for an internship, and then if they like this environment, to stay with us. So that means that they come in and they go out very often. So it was very tough for us to retain them, but was not a problem, because, as I told you, the balance was always positive. A lot in, a lot of out, but I may say the best one are here now.
You get to keep the best ones.
Yeah. In a way or another, if we there is love between us.
Yes,
they stay
sure.
here. So the team, we can say there are two kind of team. The founders, they are related to the university, so the researchers, the professors, they are the R&D part. So they always push out towards cutting edge technologies. So they are related to that kind of activities. All the operational parts are done with the new team, the one that we employed. Now it's a team of 6 persons, and plus 2 freelancers. We have a mechanical engineer, IT engineer, telecommunication engineer, management engineer, and some developers. And this is the operational team. Then we have some collaborators, and I can say that sometimes our team is in average, in the good moment, around 12, 13 persons. So it's quite a good number, I guess. What is done by us right now? We started our activities with an open innovation strategy. So we knew that some companies were looking for solution to help in their cost saving team. I can say that in the road transport sector, the fuel, especially in Europe, is the highest share in the cost, more than 33-35%. So in Europe, the fuel cost in the fleet companies is one of the main issues. So they are always looking for good solution. So we started proposing the solution to the company that were already looking for open innovation activities. So we started a POC with the largest, actually the only Italian railway company, Ferrovie dello Stato. They have a specific fleet for bus application of 3,000 vehicles. And we made a POC with them and with Eni, the oil and gas company, in order to try the product. For that moment, we made our first functional prototype. It's the one that you can even see in that one, in that video, yeah. And was our first result, was very good result, because we achieved an average 8% of saving. But we went forward. Then we made another POC with a fleet company. The name is Transitalia. And with them, we recorded a saving of up to 15% in average on the fleet, with spikes for vehicles up to 30%. So with these two POC activities, we closed the product. Now we are in a phase that we are providing our pre-series product that is done as a software core, but with our hardware that we create in partnership with our friends. The name of the company is Nexus. They are providing this hardware, and we are now working in the Italy region. But since this product is done for long-hauling application, for us the market is the European market, because we have to make very long distances. That's why now we have even an office in Munich, in Germany, thanks to the support of EIT Urban Mobility. EIT is a body of the European Union. We are a portfolio of their startup, and we are trying to spread the solution around Europe. But it's not only Europe, because we have made our first steps in the US market. I spent my last year in New York at the incubator of the Entrepreneur Roundtable Accelerator in Manhattan, in order to know more of the US market. And we have closed a collaboration with an important research center in Ohio, in Columbus, the Center for Automotive Research. And these are our first steps for US market, and we hope to be ready for that very soon.
That is very exciting and very impressive. So how did you, so a number of the companies that you worked with in this early stage, kind of getting your, what we call a minimum viable product out there, were government, right? Government owned, like the train is the train private, or is it government?
The fleet company is a private one that anyway is linked to the railway company that is a public and private one.
Yeah. So the train system and the bus system, the public transportation system here is very good. I've been on it quite a bit, and it runs on time mostly, and except if it's canceled occasionally. But how did you? So I'm curious. You mentioned engineers, and you mentioned a lot of technical people. What about your marketing? You mentioned earlier you had to learn to pitch. Who does the marketing, and how did you make these connections?
I'm trying to do the best. I am the one that is now working on this. I'm looking for a specific person that will run these activities, but I guess that the first man that has to sell the product, or anyway the idea of the company, should be the CEO at the very beginning. So that's why it's me right now that is spreading the information and the knowledge about tracking MinervaS in Europe and US. I had to work a lot on the pitch, to work a lot on my presentation, And just to give you some tell you a little bit more what I did in US. When I went to US for this accelerator program, I was supposed to go there and learn, some super math model in order to have forecast of the market and so on. No, they say that the first only thing that you have to learn here in this accelerator in the US was to be how to introduce yourself, how to work on make a second meeting with the person that you have in front. So I spent months in working on my one-liner, in my 30-second pitch or 3-minute pitch, on having all the documents ready to share, like brochure, one-pager, pitch. So I had to do a lot, all the time, these kind of activities. And I can say that now I understand why, because if you make a very good impression at the very first moment, then you can have an opportunity to propose your product. And then if it's good, they are very prone to buy it.
Yes. I think most people coming into entrepreneurship underestimate the importance of what you're talking about. The ability to communicate, especially if you're a scientist, very succinctly, very concisely what you're doing is just very important. And especially if you need to raise money. Mm-hmm. So how have you funded what you're doing?
Well, we bootstrapped at the beginning. Then we, thanks to other partners in our company, we were introduced to some business angels. We have now 3 business angels. They give us the opportunity to grow in these 2 years. But along with that money, private money, we had different grants from both the Campania region and Italy. And in total, we had more than almost 500,000 euros from private and public grants. And that was the difference. Give us, was a very important moment for us.
Yes, absolutely. I started a tech-based company a number of years ago, and I was in the Ohio, Kentucky area. And there was a big push in that area to support entrepreneurship. So a lot of our startup money came from grants as well. And that's one of the advantages, I think, of being from a university background, because you find those and you're able to write grant proposals or get help with that. Is the Italian government and the Campania region, maybe even more specifically, focused on supporting entrepreneurship? Is there a big push for that, or is that still sort of early?
Maybe not in the entrepreneurship, but in the sustainability. So since we are a climate tech startup, now there is a very big push on this. Yes. So we are likely to be in the proper moment proposing this solution. And I just want to add something, because in Italy is a little bit different from US startup, because I realized that in US, if you have an idea, you make a team, you look for investors, you look for money that helps you in making the product and spreading your MVP around. In Italy is a little bit different, because you have first to make the product, sell the product, make revenue, create traction, and then you are eligible for investment. So we must work even more harder than others in Europe, I can say, to prove that we can be on the market, even without having an investment. So
that's even your angel investors want to see proof of concept.
Yes, they want to see that it works and that we have a pre-contract, that there is the interest. But if you want to make interest here, you have to show the product already working.
So that takes a lot of money up front, especially when you're building something technical.
That's why the support of the university was important.
Now, does the university have a percentage ownership?
No, 0. But as I told you, all the research part, the prototyping, the testing, the patenting was with the support of the university. Yeah. So all of that cost was not on MinervaS at the very beginning, because it was before the incorporation.
So does the university continue to own the patent and you license from them, or is it
part in this moment we license the patent, but we have an agreement with them to buy the
when you're able
once
to do that.
when we're able to.
Right, when you have
Yeah.
some money to do that. That's exactly right. So this is so impressive. I just want to say, and it's very impressive what you've done. I'm sure there have been some really challenging things for you. You mentioned, communication. So what have been some of your greatest challenges coming from science and tech and, energy background into this whole world of entrepreneurship, which is a lot of hard work and very different at times.
As you said, is to make things simple. This is the most difficult thing to do, because if you are a researcher, you want to make it impressive with long description to show that behind of this technology there is a lot of effort.
Yeah.
But once you have to propose to an investor, to a customer, you have to make them the communication very, very simple.
Yeah.
And this sometimes is not for you it seems that you are making your product not fantastic as it should be, but it is. It's only the communication that must be lighter.
Yes. I understand that, because I think anybody in the academic community faces that from time to time, and you want to get to all the details, the nuances, everything of what you're doing, but sometimes the rest of the world hasn't caught up with that. So, and you have to remember that. So I understand that completely. So along the way, you've been doing this for three or so years. Did COVID have an impact on any of this? I know Italy, I had conversations with the family that I met yesterday, and what kind of an impact did that have? Because Italy got hit so hard from the pandemic.
Well, we incorporated during the COVID. So our idea to make this startup was so big that we didn't even realize that we were doing something very difficult in difficult moments. So for us, COVID means only to be a little bit slow, to moving slower at the very beginning. But for us was not a problem, because we knew that technology, and even after COVID, that we had to propose that technology because it was the right moment. During COVID, only transportation was working. Amazon.
Did the trains all continue to run? And
but even if you think Amazon carrier shipping in the houses, all the trucks were the only things that were moving in the country. So we realized that the road transport sector was after COVID improved somehow, and we are trying now to improve.
In the United States, we had tremendous, and still have tremendous, supply chain issues with things getting transported and delivered. Have you had the same?
Well, we have a mix of transportation here. In US, it's true, the road transport sector is very important. We have long distance to cover. In Italy, in Europe, there is the intermodality. So there are parts that are moved by train. Only the last miles are done on truck. So we try to make a multiple solution for the transport sector.
Really, really interesting. So along the way, have there ever been any moments that you thought about giving up? And if so, sort of how did you deal with that?
Yeah, it's tough. I can say that
it's hard
tough.
work, isn't it?
Because sometimes it seems that you are challenge something that is bigger than you, and you're the only one in this army. So it's very hard, but it's worth it, because you know that you're trying to do something good, not good only for the economical point of view, but even for the benefit that you are proposing, because our product helps in making the company more sustainable in price, in the environment, even for the drivers. So you know that you are giving something that could improve the society and the life of the workers. So if you think all the good things about that, you every morning you can wake up and say, okay, let's try again. I can say that what I'm doing, I love what I'm doing actually, because it's a very nice work, because it's not even work. It's a more a feeling. It's a way of living. So if you want to do what I'm doing, entrepreneurship life, you must embrace this. You must say, okay, this is a way I would like to spend my next year. There is no holiday, there are no weekend, but in the country, you feel totally free to choose, totally free to make, to propose your idea. So, it's tough, but it's totally worth it.
Yes, yes. I love hearing that, because as you say, it is a lot of hard work, but and what you're doing, you've got a product that is so timely and addresses issues that the world is concerned about, the sustainability of our planet, and there is internationally, worldwide, there's a big push for all of us to think about these issues. So that's very exciting. So I have a question. As you pointed out, it's a lot of work, no holidays. What does your familia think of you being an entrepreneur? Is that accepted? Our children?
No.
No.
I had no other example in my life of no other entrepreneurs in my life. So I was the first of my kind.
Yeah.
And still, sometimes my mom say, why don't you find a normal job?
Go get a job.
Yeah. So no, they always support me, but they know that it's tough, so they want to. Sometimes you say you can even try something else, but as I told you, I'm happy. Sometimes you have to understand. I did the other jobs in my life, but when you wake up in the morning, even early in the morning, like this morning at 5:30, you say, and you wake up happy that you have to do a lot of things in the day, say, maybe I'm doing what I really want to do.
Yeah, that's a good feeling. And, not everybody gets that.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful, and I'm sure you are, to be able to do what I love. Your parents weren't necessarily entrepreneurs, but have there been some other mentors that have helped you along the way?
I had to look for mentors, because starting this career as researcher, I had a lot of lack in the knowledge of the business part. So I had to look for mentors that could give me advices and suggestions on this route. I had to find different mentors. One mentor in the company that could give me suggestions that are related to the day-by-day activities. One mentor from friends and family to give me, another standpoint, and not a standpoint from the outside, but even mentors from the same sector, so in the mobility sector, or even from mentors that are only just entrepreneur from different sectors. So I have now a lot of mentors. More than they are friends, but they are more mentors.
Yeah, but you purposefully set out to find people that brought you information that you needed in various areas. Do you also have a board of directors or advisory board? Is that common?
Advisory board. One of them is Massimo Nicolazzi. He's a vice president of different oil and gas company in Europe and in the world, I can say. And there is another advisor that is going to join us. I hope that we will make this agreement very soon. He's from San Francisco Bay Area, and is from telematics sector. Mm-hmm. And this could even push us towards the US market. So yes, it is a good important part of our team.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I think a lot of entrepreneurs realize once they've gotten into this, that it can expand their network immensely, as you pointed out, to bring someone in from various areas. So I'm sure the two that you mentioned have big networks of people, and by
I didn't have a big network at the beginning, because it was only related to the tech part. So that's why at the beginning, I had to be at any startup event every day, every single day, because it was the only way to create this network. That in order that people knew that your face, knew your name, and they knew that you work in that field. And it works because now I'm still receiving email or any message from people that I met 2 years ago that now we can make some business together. So
you never know, right?
You never know
about the connection. Is that common here in the Campania region to have meetups and events for entrepreneurs, or is that something you had to search for and go outside of this region for as well?
It's growing. It's something that is growing now. I had to make a comparison with my life in New York a few months ago. It's very different. Yeah. You can have a startup event in Manhattan every single day, maybe all day long. Here in Campania region, once per week, if you're lucky.
So we're you're an hour, high speed train, an hour and a half, I guess, thereabouts from Rome. So is Rome, Roma or Milano? Milano.
Milano is the core of the economics in Italy, and is where even the startups are growing faster. But I can say that Napoli area, Campania area, they have a lot of startups, so we are making something good even in the south.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, I have really loved this conversation. I am so impressed with what you're doing and with your company. And, I could talk a lot longer, but I know you've got to get back to work, and I've got a busy day ahead of me here on campus. So it's such a delight.
Can I offer you an Italian coffee before leaving?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
But you have to have Italian coffee or red wine or something, right? But thank you so much for spending the time with me. I always ask my guests what one piece of advice they would give, because a lot of the listeners that I have are either out there trying to build a company, or they're, maybe in the university thinking about it. And what's one piece of advice? Maybe something you wish you'd known, or what would you share today?
Well, I'm still in a learning phase, so I can just tell you that what is very important, at least for my life, is to set up milestones. In this way, I am able to understand if I'm moving the proper direction, and if not, I'm still able to pivot the idea or even my life if it's necessary. So set up milestones are very important. Yeah. Just few per year.
That's great advice. Great advice. Thank you for joining me, Ennio. Now, where can people find out more about you and about MinervaS? Can they find you online?
Sure.
Are you on LinkedIn?
On social media, but LinkedIn is good enough. Ennio Adinolfi or MinervaS company.
Wonderful. Thank you.
See you.
If you enjoyed this episode and would like to learn more about entrepreneurship, we would love it if you hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of InFactor.